All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, y'all. Today I'm doing something a little different. I am running YouTube and Instagram at the same time. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's the lazy way. It's the way for me to do content on Instagram that I have not been able to get to and do content on YouTube all at the same time. So don't get upset if I don't get your comment. I'm going to try to get to it. Y'all know I try to go over and read all the comments. But let me wait just a second to see about the YouTube room. Let me make sure I got that set up correctly, and then we're going to have a conversation. And if you get triggered, this might not be the right live stream for you, for me. But my name is Bro. Welcome to the Pedestal Life Society. If you're easily triggered, you might want to catch me on another live stream because this live stream is that it may be triggering. So that is your disclaimer because I know some of y'all be like, well, bro, why you're not putting disclaimers on stuff, on certain content? Some certain content I do not, but I'm putting one on this live stream because I know this may be triggering. And it is not at a specific person or a thing or situation. So don't get in your feels. If you are working through something this today, on this very beautiful day that we have on Tuesday, this may not be the live stream for you. Okay, catch me on another one when it's not such a triggering topic. But let's talk about it. What I'm starting to figure out, I'm starting to catch on that two incomes is code for modern thinking. And it's actually along the lines of lifestyle and love. It does not include the children into this whole dynamic. And I know some of you are going to push back on that and say, no, that's not true. It's beyond that. But when you hear the conversations being had about, oh, you have to have two incomes in order to have a family, you have to have two incomes for this, uh, for this current inflation that we're experiencing, I'm starting to realize it is along the line of modern thinking. And if you don't know, you should know this is a page that is geared towards more along the lines of traditional values and traditional marriage. So maybe you landed here, maybe you showed up, maybe you didn't know, but let me reintroduce myself. I'm a traditional stay at home mother and wife for 21 years. I absolutely do believe that women should have options, but I absolutely do believe that women should stay home with their children for a certain amount of time because it's backed up by research, data, and statistics. Most of the research, data, and statistics that I've been able to pull says that women being home with their children all the way up to at least the age of 6 benefits the child. Why? Because this means that your child is going to have less aggression, behavioral problems, mental health is going to be on par, self-confidence and self-esteem. These things are all important to of knowing self. And I will tell you when I'm pulling any research data and statistics, when you put up, if you were to do comparison, and I don't have the comparison spirit, I truly do believe that women have to do the best thing that is for them. I'm just going to tell you what I've seen to be beneficial and what's going to give that overall healthy family structure and children. Also, we have to actually include children in the dynamic. We have to know we can't continue this whole this mantra of F them kids. And I take offense to that because I am professionally an educator. Okay, I was in the school system for at least 3 years. Lord help my soul, because I learned and saw too much that made me realize that we have taken the F those kids to a whole nother level where we're not even making decisions that's going to benefit kids overall. So when I hear that two incomes are needed in order to survive, in order to live, in order to have a conducive family structure, I know that is code for modern thinking because it is not needed. And when I look over the data, statistics, and research, it shows me that you can very much well raise a child on one income. And traditional marriages happen to be the happiest marriage when it comes to modern marriage. All of the marriages that I was able to research and look at all the dynamics that y'all have out here, traditional marriages surpass any other form of relationships that I'm seeing. And that also goes regardless if it is a relationship with a man and woman or woman and woman or man and man. It doesn't matter. It's still the best option for the family structure. Those are the ones that bring up across healthy children. We cannot have this mentality of F those kids. And it's funny, like I laugh when I hear y'all saying it. because it is hilarious, but I see it happening on a grand level where I'm seeing that there's being decisions made where the children are not even thought of, they're not even included. And that's where you mess up at. See, the thing is, when you get older and you're no longer able to take care of yourself, you get to watch the world burn because the children are not being taken care of. And guess what? Why not push the envelope a little farther? Because some people don't like me because of this mentality. Why not push it a little farther? The longer that a mom is at home with the children, it's even shown that even if she stays there to their in high school level, they benefit more. Imagine that. Your child being mentally healthy because they have a father, your child being super self-confident because they have a mother that's a stay-at-home mom. This is all research data and statistics. So with it being a two-parent home, the father is healthy, the mother is healthy. The father brings mental health. Okay. The mother brings self-esteem and self-confidence. So you get a child that goes out into the world and has a sense of self. So you don't have a child that's out here thinking she a tree or she is some inanimate object. She knows who she is as a young lady, or he knows who he is as a young man, because she has two healthy parents in the household. One is carrying the weight of mental health. The other is carrying the weight of self. And they get together and they're able to produce healthy children that have a healthy self-esteem, that don't think they're a trick. Their identity is not compromised. So this is what I am seeing. Like I said, don't get triggered. Don't get triggered. It's not about you, sis. It's not about you. We're out here trying to help other people get an idea of what it takes in order to have a healthy family and healthy children. Because when you get older, do you want to watch the world burn? Because I think we're on the brink of that. We're watching some of these things, these ideals that are pushing our children to a place that I am not comfortable about. I don't know how you all feel, but I'm not comfortable with watching children being so confused they don't know who they are. I am not comfortable with children confused on themselves as people, themselves as their place in society and who they are, because we have such mixed ideals and mixed situations that are carrying the narrative and the rhetoric out here in these streets. So I'm going to say two when people start talking about two incomes and two incomes are needed in order to survive in society, that is code word modern thinking. And you need to pay attention. And this goes for men or women, because I am also noticing, I see men and they're blowing my mind. Y'all know I try to stay away from social media as much as possible because I like to get in this space of grounding where I'm keeping, my mental spirit and health healthy and not so investing in what's going on social media. But I see men, and they're supposed to be the leaders. They're out here confusing the masses, having you all thinking that traditional is 50-50. It isn't. Being a traditional wife, there is no 50-50 involved. So if you're confused along that area, if you're confused, you feel like, oh, well, went to one space and they were like, oh, 50-50 could still have like traditional ideals, but it's not going to be overall a traditional picture. It's not going to be traditional. And I reject that. I don't believe 50-50 can ever fit into a traditional lifestyle. So I don't care what men are out here saying when it comes to that, because I'm starting to realize that some men, not all, some men online are deranged. They're deranged and they're misguiding the masses. And since women have the tendency to follow men because it's a part of our DNA, our feminine energy to want to follow the man. We want to follow the leader when it comes to these conversations. But when I see these conversations being had, I realize the leader is leading us down a dangerous path. They're having some women confused about what traditional looks like. Traditional does not look like 50-50. It does not look like you giving and paying for your lifestyle and for your children. It looks like options. That's what it smells like, options. It is options. So don't allow these people to confuse you. It is not you out here working to support your own lifestyle and taking care of your children in that manner. So don't get it confused. Don't sit here and get distracted by all the conversations being had about it. But for now on, I want you to, when you start hearing two incomes and people are talking about, well, you got to have two incomes in order to survive, or you have to have two incomes in order to be able to make it, Just realize that is code word for modern thinking. And when you start to vet that person, you're going to start to realize that they have different ideals, and those ideals are going to be on a line of modernizing. And when you think about these type of relationships, y'all, I am starting to get the point that these modern relationships are not even about family structure and children. It's more along the lines of lifestyle and love. And those things will always lead you astray. When you get distracted by lifestyle and love, and that's what they're doing. It's all about lifestyle and love. It's about trying to put two incomes together in order to get to the next socioeconomic level. It's not caring or including the children that may come from the relationship. So two incomes is code word for what? Modern thinking. Modern thinking. And it's all about lifestyle and love and keeping up with the Joneses. It's more along those lines. It has nothing to do with the family structure. It has nothing to do with having healthy children. It has nothing to do with generational wealth. It has nothing to do with legacy. It's all about trying to compete with the Joneses and make more money, even though no one wants to talk about the fact that when you have two professional parents in a household and both of them are bringing in money, there's no comparison to a family where there is a traditional vibe going. And what I mean by that, if you were to compare two professional people and they're both working, bringing in money, and you compare them to the traditional family where there's a provider and there's a stay-at-home mom, the stay-at-home mom child outperforms the two professional children child every single time. And that's research data statistics. It's not me being full of myself or ego. That's all facts, statistics, and data and research. It talks about how when you are able to keep your child home and avoid child care, you have your child experiences their stress levels lessens, their aggression lessens, their behavioral problems lessens, their sense of self increases, their self-esteem increases, their self-confidence increases. So two-parent homes with no conflict, with parents staying home, is the ideal situation. And no one talks about it. Most of the time I hear all these conversations, they're talking about lifestyle and love and 50-50 and modern thinking. That is modern thinking, and we need to be able to identify when somebody's in front of us and they are a modern thinker. They have modern values, and that's okay for them. But I want the women who don't desire that and they want a different family structure, you want a different outcome, you need to be able to recognize the people who are different from you and recognize that you don't want to waste your time with a man who doesn't have traditional thinking. He doesn't have traditional values. He's still thinking along the lines of, hey, I got to have a extra income in order for us to be able to survive. You have to have two incomes to survive. If a man is thinking along those lines, he is modern. I don't care what he's doing. I don't care if he talks about God. I don't care if he talks about masculine energy. I don't care what he's talking about, because women tend to get distracted when there's masculine energy in front of them. Masculine energy and traditional values are two different things. Don't confuse the two. Just because this man is displaying masculine energy, if he has a modern mind, he is not for you. And you need to recognize that man immediately so you don't waste your time. Remember, two incomes is code word for modern thinking. And he wants a modern marriage. And that's okay for him. But if that's not what you desire, you need to learn how to move around and move along. All right, so let's see what everybody's saying. Hey, pedestal wives, how are y'all doing today? Okay, let me see and put this on the board. What quality of kind of lifestyle does a woman think she's going to have by having two full-time life jobs? Well, you know what? I don't think women be thinking beyond that, because it's not being stressed to think about the child, think about the movement, if those kids. How many times have y'all looked at that and laughed about it? And I laughed at it too. I'm not gonna lie. It is hilarious. But when it comes to overall making decisions and you're not including or think about the children and how it's going to affect them, then you're really implementing if those kids. And so you cannot think that having two jobs, a woman working outside the home and also inside of the home, that the children will not be affected overall. Yesterday, when I was talking about Lori Harvey, I brought up a good point. I don't think y'all even thought about this. Let me bring up another point, because I think Instagram, y'all missed out on this. Let me bring up something. Remember that your young girls, your babies, They're all at the epitome of feminine energy. If you want to watch feminine energy in action, go look at a teenage girl. And when you think about a teenage girl and she's able to pick up on the energies and of the people in her household. So if she's seeing you tired, she's seeing you overworked, she's seeing you exhausted. What does she do? She back away from giving you her problems and let you know what's going on with her, because guess what? You're tired. And that is what feminine energy do. We want to nurture the people that we love. So we decide we don't want to burden that person. And trust me, being a stay-at-home mom and a stay-at-home wife, you don't want your daughter to ever look at you as though you're being a burden, because that she's burdening you, because you're going to miss something. And that's what happens with women working all the time and having 2 full-time jobs. You miss something that's going on with your teenage daughter, because at that point, when she wanted to go in the room and talk to you, you looked exhausted. You look tired. So what does she do in her feminine energy? She tries to protect and nurture you by backing away and trying to figure out how to fix her problems when really she needed you at that moment. And it happens all the time, and women don't even think about it. How many problems have you missed because you're too busy, you're too tired, you're too overworked? And that is what's currently happening. And that's the reason why we got women, young girls, that do not know who they are. They're confused. Y'all got young women, not just women, young men out here so freaking confused. Some of them going to eventually, when you go look at the application, they're going to be like, do you want to be a tree? I'm a tree. Mm-hmm. You already see the movement happening now. This is all from the confusion that's going on. The family structure is broken. And because when it comes down to it, our children try to protect us when they feel like that they don't want to burden us. They'll walk away and decide, oh, well, I can talk to my mama later. I can talk to my daddy later. And daddies are important. I would preference, if you're not going to have children, no, you don't need a man. But if you're going to have children, you absolutely need a man. Why? Because the men bring mental health. Go look at the research data and the facts on it. Men, strong, healthy men, bring mental health to the children. That make sure what's going on is that the fathers, they're helping structuring the thinkings of the children. Women, the healthy women, they're structuring the emotions and self-esteem and how they feel about themselves. That's the reason why we're both needed. So men have to spend time with their children, and women have to spend time with their children. If you're not going to have any children, absolutely, you don't need each other. But if you're going to have children, you need each other. There's data, the statistics, and facts that backs this up. So it's interesting that people get mad when I say it. It's important to know when to cut your losses. Absolutely. It is absolutely important to know when to cut your losses. But we have to recognize when we are having this conversation, when you start getting in a room or on a date with the guy, and the guy starts talking about 2 incomes, there's nothing else to have a conversation about. Don't take it upon yourself to try to persuade him to see it a different way. Trust me, his modern thinking cannot even encompass what you're trying to accomplish, especially if you're thinking about your children before you have children. If you're planning for your children before they're even here. If you're making plans for your children before they're even here. If you're thinking about your children's legacy and how they're going to live and how they're going to thrive, and you have a plan for that, they can't even encompass that, because that modern thinking, it's got them in a chokehold. They can't even think of beyond F those kids. That's the reason why I see so many couples that are making decisions not based off of how it's going to affect the children in the future. They're thinking about how it's going to affect them right now. Modern thinkers cannot think beyond right now. They cannot think in the terms of longevity and how it's going to affect our children and how we're going to grow from this particular situation, if we're going to be able to build the legacy that we desire. And this is the reason why we have to be very careful while you're out here dating. It's not the time to determine if this is a modern thinker after the marriage. You need to think before. You need to look and see if this person has modern thinking before marriage. Because once you get into the marriage, trust me, trying to pivot and renegotiate gets a little harder once you've actually agreed. And since men tend to stand on the agreement prior, and they don't change doesn't come easy to them, they're not going to want to change. And I wouldn't expect them to. I absolutely do believe in vetting for modern thinking before you get in a relationship, so you don't have to try to change that person's mind. This is true. A mother who's stressed, tired, and constantly her masculine energy misses the emotional and psychological and spiritual rearing of her children. And do. That's the reason why you have so many children that are walking around here very confused. They're confused. They want to be trees. They want to be grass. They want to be flowers. They want to be animals. They want to be everything but what God made them, because they are so confused because we don't have family structures anymore. A lot of our family structure is mostly modern. Traditional values is no longer on the forefront anymore the manner it used to be. It used to be a known thing that it had to be a two-parent home. And yes, and the movement of F those kids is means much, is bigger than what I thought it was. At first I thought it was like a funny haha kind of slogan. Like I laughed too when I started seeing it. When I realized it's a lot more serious than that, especially coming from an educator background, where I realized that even when I was dealing with a child who had everything, okay, dealing with a child who had everything, two parents that were professionals, that the child had any and every gadget you can think of, they had it. Money was no problem, but they still didn't show up for PTA. They still didn't show up for any meetings because they couldn't. They still didn't show up for any graduations or any award ceremonies because they couldn't. And then I would see children, and it was rare. It was rare. It's getting rare. It's getting more rare to see a stay-at-home mom and a father that works. It is that dynamic is starting to really fade away. That's the reason I say these values are starting to no longer be the forefront, and it's starting to fade away. And I'm very sad about it, because that one is the one that shows to have more of a healthy marriage, healthy children, a healthy overall dynamic within the relationship. And it's interesting, the very one that's the healthiest is no longer getting any there's no longer a push to have a traditional marriage. Most of those type of marriages are fading away. But it is interesting. Like I said before, any research I've been able to come across, if you were to put them and compare them, beside each other, if you was to compare a child that comes from professional parents with the everything, all of the money, all the highest socioeconomic level, and you compare them to a traditional family with a stay-at-home mother, the stay-at-home mother child surpasses the other every single time in every category, and no one is paying attention to it. I realize that no one is talking about it because it's not beneficial to the overall narrative. It's not beneficial to the overall government's conspiracy. And I believe, and these are only my opinions here when it comes down to, I truly do believe it's a way to make sure that they can get these taxes from mom and dad, and then they also can insert the child into the whole dynamic, and that child can join with paying the taxes, and y'all get stuck on that hamster wheel. And it's the way to continue to keep Americans broke and a part of the matrix and part of the system. So that is what I believe. That is my opinion. That's not research. That's my opinion. That's the reason why I feel like that even when it comes down to it, it's not promoted. These type of relationships are no longer being promoted because it is not going to be beneficial overall to the government, because the government wants to keep you inside the matrix where you're paying taxes, you and your wife and your children. And if they keep you there and you're constantly paying out, you're never ever to build wealth, you're never ever to build independent, you're never ever to get out of the matrix, you're never ever to come and be an independent thinker. That's catastrophic and problematic to the government. So that's my opinion. And I'm gonna get out of the cuckoo nest. I'm gonna get off the conspiracy wheel, and I'm gonna get back to the content. Let me see what they're saying here on Instagram. Can't even have male friends that think like that. They try to hook you up with their male friends that think like that. Absolutely. And they do, because of the fact that, and that's the reason why it's not promoted, because two incomes, for me, what I'm starting to realize, two incomes is code word for modern thinking. This means that they believe that both people are supposed to be working. They believe they don't take or value that the mother should be a stay-at-home wife. They don't value that the mother brings self-esteem and emotional control to her children. They don't believe in a two-parent dynamic in that manner, they don't understand that two parents with no conflict and the parent stays at home is the perfect dynamic for children. Basically, it's a perfect environment for children to have healthy children overall, not just mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. This is what no one is having conversations about, because if they were to push this forward, this Reddit forward, this information forward, then it would have people really thinking, be out. It would pull people out of this modern thinking. It would have people no longer realizing, oh well, maybe I need to think beyond myself and think about the children I'm going to bring into this world. Because what we're going to be looking in the next couple of years, if we can keep going along this path, y'all literally going to watch the world burn. Because the children that are coming up with no traditional values, no two-parent homes, you're going to watch the world burn. You're going to watch so much confusion. You're going to watch kids come up thinking that they're flowers, trees, animals. You're going to see all these weird things happen around us, and it's already starting. You're already seeing the matrix working. And this is the reason why they don't want you to come out of it. Why let you come out? Because the more that you're in the matrix, the more money they receive while you're in there. They said it long ago. That's the reason why they promote for mothers to be working anyway, because the government wants a part of her check also. All right, so let's see what everybody's saying. I recently listened to a YouTube channel about being over 25, talking about the woman and man contributing money and putting it in a pool for the whole family. So that person is trying to get out of the matrix. They understand what's happening. And you all need to wake up and realize this two income thing. And I've said it prior, and it caused a whole mess on YouTube. I said before, two incomes have never led to wealth. It hasn't. Because if two incomes have led to wealth, then riddle me this. Why is the Black community scheduled to be at a negative net worth in 2040, I think? Because at one time it was 2050, right? So if two incomes leads to wealth overall, then why is a lot of communities, it's not just the Black community, communities of color expected to be at a negative net worth of 0 in 2040? That's the Hispanic and community included also. The Black community included also. Of course, the only ones that are going to be making out is the white community and the Asian community. They're the only ones that are expected to actually grow. But if two incomes have, and anyone can answer, I'm open to another perspective. Anyone can answer. If two incomes have led to wealth over time, then why is the negative net worth coming up to be 0 in 2040 and some communities 2050? I want to know, because guess what? It doesn't. That is the trick. When you come out the matrix, you realize two incomes do not lead to wealth. What leads to wealth? Income producing assets. And you can very well do that with just one income. One good income, but you can do it with one income. Why do you think a lot of Western women feel that they have to go 50-50? You mentioned lifestyle. But what about low self-value or not believing in gender roles? Because in the West, we're getting away from even having gender roles. If you actually look on social media, there's a big push for no gender roles. Let's take it out the dictionary. Let's no longer talk about it. Even though do y'all realize that there's other countries that are older than us, and they have a known blueprint that is working for society? And we reject it because we decided to go on our own and do our own thing. But I feel like eventually we're going to come back to it, because other countries have done this prior. They've already did some testing and they failed and they went back to the traditional. And we're going to have to do the same eventually. But I think right now what we're going to do, we're going to have to go through some things for us to realize it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I think 50-50 Western women also have been brainwashed. If you look at, like, come on, let's be honest. Most of us are women here, right? And I know some of us might be men, but okay, men, take a back seat for right now. I'm going to say this. Men are the leaders. And if men are out here promoting 50-50, I think that's the reason why a majority of women will get on the bandwagon. Because what happens is, overall, women are feminine energy. And feminine energy likes to follow the masculine energy. Now, of course, we need to get out of that habit because we need to realize when we're actually attached to a fool. We need to realize that when you're attached to masculine energy, he's absolutely a fool, because masculine energy doesn't mean that he's smart. That's the thing y'all not catching. Masculine energy doesn't mean that the man is smart. And we tend to, as feminine energy beings, we tend to attach our wagon to a masculine energy being. He may not be smart, and he may be promoting 50-50, and we think that's the right way to go. And of course, and since the Western society is a Catholic society, we tend to promote lifestyle and love, and they're doing it for a reason. They're doing it for a reason. They're doing it because of the fact they want to keep you in the matrix. They want to keep you they want to keep you thinking that all you have to keep doing is working and you will achieve the American dream. When that is unattainable if you're not investing and making sure that you have income producing assets. And you can literally do that on a very good one income and still raise your children well. Hi, Miss Brown. So glad to see you again. Oh, I'm so glad to see you all. I told you I was going to come hard. I told you I was come hard. Didn't I? I said I was going to come hard. We're going to have topics over here. I want thinkers in this community. I want smart, feminine, energy, strong, feminine powered women. I want you to have a brain so that you can see what's truly going on. You can't be out here being a bobblehead when you see that they're trying to get rid of traditional values, because they realize that if they put you in the matrix and you continue to work for the government, you never have independent wealth, and you can never step outside the matrix, and you can't raise your children. And then since you can't raise your children become a part of the matrix, and they're paying the government also. And that is what I want to wake you all up, so that you all will realize that we need to get back more to that traditional value. There's nothing wrong with a hardworking man. And y'all know you can absolutely do this without this man being filthy rich. I've never had the platform of filthy rich. Wealth is my game. I've never talked about rich, because you can marry a man. You might can't marry a rich man, but baby, you can marry a wealthy man. That means this wealthy man has a 401k. He has savings. He has money in the bank. He has income producing assets. He has real estate. He has things that's going to bring in money every single month. So you can marry a man with wealth, even if you can't marry a rich man. I've never promoted just marrying a rich man. I think that's it's going to be the right move for some women and not the right move for every woman. It's not for everyone, because it's not enough rich men to go around anyway. So we're just going to look at the numbers on that. Good morning, everyone. How much have I missed? I didn't get my notification. Oh, I don't know why y'all did not get your notification. Make sure you check it, because I'm be hitting this hard. I'm hitting the algorithm hard on both platforms. But two incomes is code word for modern thinking. And modern thinking is going to lead you down the path of being in the matrix. And being in the matrix means you're going to be working until you die, because that's what they're not telling you. They're not giving you the truth of the matter. A lot of people that work, just because you work doesn't mean you're going to get wealthy. Just because you work doesn't mean that you're going to have money for when you retire. A lot of people end up retiring and they end up being a greeter at Walmart. And that's the truth of the matter. This is the reason why we need to get back to our roots of traditional values. Well, we didn't see, I can guarantee you back in 1960, 1970, you did not see elderlies sitting in the front of a store being a greeter, because they can't take care of themselves in their retirement ages. And that is because of the fact that we have moved away from traditional values. And that's also a way for you to realize that we're getting so far away from what really works. Because think about it. When you were, some of y'all are older than me, some of you younger than I am. But I have been around elderlies for most of my life. I tend to attract very older people. Why? Because of my thinking. And any of those, you never saw them being a greeter or, not being able to enjoy their retirement age. Now, when you go out and about, how many elderly people do you see at Walmart? Do you see at Target? Do you see in places where they should be retired and sitting down? But what are they doing? Because maybe at one point they were told that all they had to do was continue to work, and working, they were going to be able to have wealth later on and they can retire. But that's not the truth of the matter. And that's how they keep you in the matrix. They keep you working until you die. You're continuing to pay taxes until you die. And then since y'all are not really thinking about your children and the legacy that you're leaving them, you're not thinking about how these things are going to affect your children. Then you have children and you have them and birth them into the matrix, and they stay there until they die. And then they continue to have more workers to give into the matrix, which I call the matrix of government, until they die. So code word 2 incomes is modern thinking. And you need to be able to identify that so you don't waste your time. If both spouses are high earning, wouldn't they have a more comfortable life? They can have a comfortable life, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they will have a comfortable retirement. And that's the thing is, and that's along the lines of modern thinking, baby, because you're going to think along the lines of lifestyle. You're not thinking on the lines of, is this high earning couple going to have children or not? Are they going to have children or not? Most high earning couples are going to have children. And then when they have children, those children are not going to benefit from the high earning in the manner you think they are. Because guess what happens? Research shows this, that a lot of times when you're not pouring into your children, you're not imprinting on your children, they go out into the world. It's a 50-50. It's a toss-up. What your child learns. Your children can go into the school system. They can learn anything. They can learn how to be a stripper. They can learn how to be a shooter. They can learn how to just be, they can learn how to be any and everything in the school system. Because I worked in the school system. And I have seen some things. I have stories for days about what happens in the public school system. But yes, they may experience a good lifestyle. But what about retirement? Do you know that even high earning spouses still don't have good retirement? Some of them are still depending on Social Security. So you think when you retire with Social Security, I think it's like 25%. So you get to experience that high lifestyle and high earning while you're working. But then once you retire, because you've put so much money into lifestyle and living with the Joneses, you don't have no money. And you might give your kids access to that high earning lifestyle. But what about your child's mental health? What about their self-esteem and their self-confidence? This is the things that we're not having a conversation is. Even in that conversation, even what you just posted here, it's lifestyle. It's living with the Joneses. It's not really factoring in the children that's going to come out of that particular relationship. I said it now and I'm going to say it again. I'll put my children that was raised by me as a stay-at-home mother and wife against any child that has just professional parents. And I know that outperform you, their mental health will be on par and their self-confidence will be on a level 10 or beyond. Because that's what a child gets when she has a stay-at-home parent and a father that is a hard worker and a provider. So comfortable, and who says that you can't be comfortable on one income? Who said that? Like, should we open up the conversation about maybe if you can't be comfortable on one income, maybe you all need to learn how to budget too? Or is that a horrible word? Is that a horrible word to have? Knowing how to handle money. Should we have that conversation? Because trust me, I looked at the data and I was blown away too. I absolutely thought that 2 incomes should have been able to get a family of at least 4 to a higher socioeconomic status, and also that the children will be well-mannered and the mental status will be fine. But unfortunately, that's not what I'm finding. And you can find this anywhere. The statistics and data research is easy to find. Trust me, it's there. No one talks about it because it's uncomfortable. And it's not popular. It's not popular when you talk about money and what people should be doing with it. But you can still have the same lifestyle as someone with 2 incomes. When you're dealing with a masculine energy man who has a provider mentality, who knows how to have income producing assets. If he knows how to make money work for him, he knows he can surpass people with 2 income. Matter of fact, it happens in the data. Because a lot of times that person with a 1 income, they're going to be very careful with their money and their investment, because they're gonna know that, hey, we have 1 income. So we have to be careful where we spend our money, and we're going to have to make sure we're investing our money. We're going to have to make sure our money is working for us. But when you have two incomes, you tend to take on more and get more in debt and live a more of a capitalistic lifestyle and start living and competing with the Joneses. That's what happens with two incomes. That's the reason why one with one income can actually surpass one with two incomes. And it happens all the time. I've seen people with two incomes who are debt free. But people with, with one income are debt free. With people with two incomes, they don't seem to be able to get it together. They don't seem to be able to get it together. How can a woman be more comfortable working and take care of her home, man, and kids? That's too much. We're not built for all of that. Plus, resentment will eventually appear when a woman wears her pants. And I think women need to come to that conclusion. I think that we have taken on this strong woman mentality, and we have, I think we've lied to ourselves. I think when it comes down to that mentality, women have lied to themselves. And since the Matrix promotes two incomes and capitalism, and they promote women and men working in order to provide for the family, that we have lied to ourselves about how much we can handle. And we have allowed the world to brainwash us to believe that we can multitask and do everything well. Now, can you do two things at the same time? Yes. But there's been some research that shows that even if you do two things at the same time, only one of them is going to be done well. And that's what we need to start taking upon ourselves and just doing one thing at a time and realizing we're not superwomen, superwoman, not superwomen, right? Superwoman. And we shouldn't try to be. We shouldn't put everything on our shoulders. I think that's also the reason why our children, the mental health, the self-esteem and self-confidence of children, it is an all-time low. Go and look at the data, research, and statistics along those lines, and you will see that the children, the way that they view themselves, is a horrible mentality to have. They don't even have a sense of self-worth of being a human being. And that's the reason why we're getting to the point where children think they're trees, flowers, animals, anything but human. Because when they were coming up, where was the father? The father is the mental health. He's the mental structure that is established. He helps children to think a certain way and to think and see things logically. Mental health. And the mother is the feminine energy. She is the feelings, the emotions. She helps them keep contact and tap into their emotions, and she builds their self-esteem and self-worth. So you get these two people are missing. And yes, even when it comes to single parent homes, be honest, if you're working yourself to jail, you're not there. And the self-worth and self-esteem of your child could be lacking. How do I know? Because I've been in education. I've watched it. Some of y'all think because my kid gets good grades, my kid is doing everything right, they're not getting in trouble. But then you're not there when they're telling us their secrets. They're sitting out and they're telling us about how they feel confused about who they are as a person, how they don't see themselves as having this or that. That's the reason why there was a viral video that went where a little girl was telling a teacher that she wanted to have two children, but she didn't want to have a father because of the fact that, hey, he could be on drugs. These are the things that you hear as an educator. Speak up, fellow educators, because I know some of y'all are in the room. Because that happens. And you realize it is because of the fact that mothers and fathers are missing for the equation. Fathers for the mental health, mothers for the self-esteem and self-confidence. These things are missing. So you got confused kids who want to be trees, flowers, animals. I seen one where a child said she wanted to be a disabled. Why she want to be disabled? She confused. She's a healthy young woman, but she identifies as disabled. Don't confuse high earners with wealthy high earners. Spend on lavish things, luxury cars, big houses, nice homes, wealthy lives, a modest lifestyle, Honda Civic, smaller home, and money in the bank. Oh, I'm not confusing her. I'm actually going by data. I'm going by data. Do y'all know majority of the people's in debt? Regardless, high earners, low earners, and usually it's the ones that have one income that are very sensible with their money. Why? Because they have one income. So they're whole lot more sensible. But the world looks at them as though they're backwards, or that they're lacking, or that they're missing out on wealth because only one. But that traditional family with one income, their children are healthy mentally, their children have self-confidence, their children have less aggression. The children don't have behavioral problems. Their children know how to handle their stress. There's a lot of positives coming out from traditional families, but they're not talking about it because they want to keep you in the matrix. They want to keep you in that modern thinking. They want to keep you in that modern mentality, thinking that you can only survive with two incomes. And trust me when I say what I'm realizing, that when it comes to two income homes, and it is code for modern thinking. Because in nowhere of that conversation I keep seeing, when I keep seeing these conversations happen, I don't hear or see anybody talking about the children. I see all I see is F those kids. So I don't hear or hear any conversation about what's going to happen with the children that's coming out of these families. I hear about how you can get the lifestyle. I see how you can get your houses, your cars, your bags, your luxury, your labels. But I don't see how your children are going to be taken care of. How you're going to make sure your children are healthy mentally. Your children have a healthy self-esteem and self-confidence. Your children know how to handle stress. Your children are not aggressive. Your children don't have behavioral problems. Oh, did I talk about childcare? Did I talk about childcare? Did I talk about how what childcare has been linked to behavioral problems? No one talks about it because you don't want women to start getting scared and realizing maybe this modern thinking isn't working. Maybe I need to go back to my traditional values where I'm taken care and provided by men. Maybe I need to be there for my children, at least for the first 5 years of his life, her life, because at least the 5 or 6 years of imprinting and helping your children grow and helping them understand stress and getting their behaviors under control and raising their self-esteem and self-confidence, it works. There's data, statistics, and research to back that up. But I don't hear anybody having those conversations. All I hear y'all talking about is lifestyle and living with the Jones and having to get married to make sure you can live better for money. And ain't nothing wrong with money. Y'all know I talk about money on this page all the time. I'm an advocate for women making sure that money is on the table, because money is the number one reason for divorce. But when I hear money, it's in the thing of, hey, let's be able to buy more luxury and labels. We're not talking about how we're going to bring more money to make generational wealth. Those conversations aren't being had, because then we got to start having the conversations about childcare. Do anybody want to open up that can of worms there? Anybody want to open that can of worms about childcare and how it has been shown that the children that come out of childcare do not know how to handle their stress, are very aggressive, and have behavioral problems? And think about what age range children are in childcare. What age range is that? Isn't it birth to 5 years old? Because that's before they go to kindergarten, right? So that means that women need to be home between birth and up to 5 years old. But nobody wants to say this because of the fact it's not popular. Let's see what everybody's saying. Let me hit up Instagram because I have been neglecting you all. Sorry, y'all. Okay, you said it. They said that the one party can't just be producing money. They were young couples. I was so disappointed. It is so difficult to find hypergamous couple online or on social media. It is. And I've noticed a big push too. I've noticed the pages that promote traditional family and traditional values are starting to go underground. Have y'all been seeing that? I've been seeing traditional family, traditional values starting to go underground. Then the pages that promoted it heavy are no longer doing that, or they have changed their message to accommodate modern thinkers in the modern world. Exactly. Everything that needs to be said, thank you. You're welcome. That is so true. Brill, thank you. God bless them. They were so they lied and straight from the pit of hell. And they were, because nobody wants to talk about the issues that are coming out of child care. Everybody wants to promote child care, and child care is expensive. The last time, well, I've never utilized child care because I was at home. I utilized what it was called. It wasn't child care because it was like 4 hours. I let her go 4 hours in order for me to be able to go to college. And it was a Christian daycare. It was a Christian daycare. So I never utilized it in the manner that I see that young women are utilizing where the kids are in there for 8 hours. And no one's really talking about childcare problems and the prices. The prices are the amount of a car. It's a car payment or more. Car payment and a house payment together. And I know when I looked at which I was paying for those little 4 hours, it wasn't even a lot. I only did 2 days for 4 hours, and I think I paid less than $100. Now today, I don't think you could even get that amount. I think it would be higher than that. I don't know. Y'all gotta let me know because y'all know my youngest is 16 years old. All right, let me jump over here to YouTube right quick. What are a couple of the consequences of single moms raising young ladies with a shaky income? The consequences of single moms raising young ladies with shaky income, there are so many. Because of the fact that one, the sense of self. Because without the income, women need to have income. I think we need to get out of this fairy tale world where we don't need a man's income. We need his income to raise children. We need his income to provide for those children because we need to be, our focus needs to be on making sure our children have self-esteem and self-confidence and they know how to deal with their emotions. Think about all the children that you notice today, they don't know how to control their emotions. They're overly emotional. They're overly emotional. And then the unalive rates are going up because these children don't know how to handle the life. They don't know how to handle what happens when you're overwhelmed emotionally. So they tend to unalive themselves. Those numbers are going up because of the fact that women need to take upon themselves and realize we need his money and stop shying away from it. A woman, a young woman, a single mom with shaky income, that is so many, that's gonna cause so many problems. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything over here. I'm always very honest when it comes to what I am seeing and the research and data of it all. That is gonna be an issue. You need to get your income together because your child is gonna pick up on the fact that you're exhausted, overwhelmed, that y'all are broke. And she's gonna accommodate by trying not to come to you when she needs to come to you. She's going to accommodate by maybe putting herself last. And you can't, I'm going to be honest with you, you do not want to have this, if you're trying to go for feminine energy, young ladies, right? Hopefully that's the goal. I don't know what everybody's goal is. I'm going to tell you this for me, per se, for as a parent. The goal is to raise young ladies who are intact and in touch with their feminine energy. So you want her to be able to express herself emotionally, and you want her to be present in her body. You want to teach her that very early on. You do not want to train your child to tap in and see that you are overwhelmed, exhausted, and then she starts holding back her emotions and not able to have a conversation with you, not to come to you when things are happening in her life. And yes, young girls, young teenage girls, they have a life. They have a life. They have a life. They have boyfriends, they have friends, they have all kinds of things going on in their social circle. And you want to be there while she's living her little life. So that you can help her tap in her feminine energy and she won't be the man in the situation. So it's very important that you get your income on steady ground. It can't be shaky raising little girls because they tap in more than little boys for some reason. They tap in and they want to protect, and they want to make sure they want to make sure their mothers are good. So they tend to back away from their own issues and not come to you when they need to come to you. You want your daughters to come to you when she's thinking about when it's time to have sex. Do you want her to go to her friends? Do you want her to go to her teachers? And I've had young women come to me, plenty of them come to me and say, I don't know what to do, Miss Crawford, Miss Boney. I don't know what to do. Because I got two last names, y'all. I got two last names. So she would they would come and say, I don't know what to do. And they will go to somebody else when they feel like their mother is too overwhelmed and too tired and don't have time for her. And she'll go outside of you to ask important questions that she should be going to her mother to. I always felt uncomfortable guiding a young woman, and instead of her going to her mother. Number one question I always ask, hey, should you go? Have you talked to your mom about this? I always ask them, and they would tell me, what? My mom's too busy. She's too tired. She's never there. And when I talk to my mom, she never has time for me. So I will have to end up talking to them, but I will always tell them, hey, talk to your mom. Don't be scared. I know she wants you to have this conversation with her. I know she don't want you to go out here and make these decisions without her. Because some of the some of these teenage girls were making decisions to have sex in middle school, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't have a parent because the parent was overworked and overwhelmed. Well, they had a parent, but they felt like they couldn't go to them. Do you have parenting videos? No, I don't have any parenting videos. I don't think I've ever done any parenting videos. They keep kicking me off your live. It happened 10 times already. Y'all, I'm sorry. It might be. Let me see if I can do this for Instagram. Let me see if I can do this. This might help. So you don't get kicked off. Let's see if that's better. Because I see the numbers keep going up and down a lot on Instagram. So I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, I would get my income up. You can get your income up and still spend time with your daughter. What we do, we have like daughter days where I would go and spend time with my daughter. We would go, they would pick the place and I would go out with one of them. I don't go with both of them because I don't want to split my time. Well, not split time. I don't want them to feel like I can't say that in front of my sister. I want them to be able to have an open line of conversation with their mother. And you have to have that time. You can't be overworked and tired, or you can't go on daughter days where you can spend time with your daughter and find out where she is and what's going on in her little world. Because baby, they got a whole world. They got a whole world. They done broke up with Tim several times. They dating 2 and 3 at this age. And don't think it's not happening, because it is. That she done broke up with Tim and she going with John. And now John done made her mad and she don't know what to do. And some little girl is harassing her in school right now. And she don't know what to do. And that's where her mother comes into play. And also, this is the time where in middle school where her self-esteem and self-worth is very fragile. So you need to be there to speak to her and pour into her so she'll know who and what and who she is. So you don't. What I found is that middle school was the most problematic time for both girls. And I got 2 girls. It was the most problematic time. So you need to make sure you're paying attention. If your income is not where it needs to be, you need to get it up. Because trust me when I tell you, children, especially little girls, they sense when there's not enough money, where it's a money issue. And then what they try to do, they try not to be a problem. And so they try to shy away from bring you in to their problems or their little world. And that's why some of y'all get it twisted. Y'all be thinking, oh, my daughter and my son, they don't need anybody because they got good grades. They go to school on time. They don't never get in trouble. And that be the most problematic children. They have the most issues, not in class. They have the most issues going up here mentally, where they're sitting here very confused. Those are the ones that I had to do a lot of counseling for. It wasn't the ones that were acting out and being a clown. Those were easy, actually. The clowns were easy. It's the ones that were super smart, had all A's, and was very, a good student. They were the ones that were going through a lot mentally. Those are the ones that sometimes I had to walk them to the counselor's office because it was something beyond my scope of help. Because I could tell that if they didn't get assistance very soon, there might be an issue. You might not have a daughter or son. Y'all have to realize these things are happening. And we need to pay attention and stop saying F those kids. Trust me, I thought that it was cute and funny too. But being a school teacher, you realize that this ain't funny. And women have to wake up. We need to realize that we have to get away from this matrix of 2 incomes. Someone needs to be home. Any data research or statistic will tell you that any child that is raised by a stay-at-home mom and wife, they will outperform, outdo, and have higher self-esteem and self-confidence than any child, even if that child is coming from a 2-parent home of professionals. My daughter is a job in itself, and it is. I got 2 of them, so I know how you feel it. I know how you feel it because those girls, their little world changes and shifts always. They always have something going on. Stop thinking your children don't have worlds of their own. They do. All of them have worlds of their own. And there's always something going on within that little world. And a lot of it you're not privy to because you're not paying attention to it. I done raised 2 boys. My oldest is 21. The one after that is 20. They did not, trust me when I tell you, they did not put me through as much as these 2 girls. Okay? They didn't. I done lost a little bit of edges on the side because one of my daughters, they're super emotional. That's why I'm wearing a wig. I'm gonna grow these edges back because I have two daughters and they are super emotional. They always have something going on, and you have to keep and tap into their little worlds, and also be a wife. Being the daughter of a single mother, I can conquer to everything you're saying. What will you advise me to do to build what's broken from my home foundation? I'm already in therapy. See, you're already starting it. I congratulate you because when I talk and have these live streams, I've noticed that some women don't realize they need therapy. They don't realize they need to do the inner work. They don't realize they need to do the work. So I congratulate you for going and doing therapy and not being ashamed of that. Don't be ashamed of it. I had therapy too. That's the reason I can come to you all and have these conversations and I see the world differently because I've had therapy. And the thing is, do the therapy. Get deep in the therapy and feminine energy. Deep heal all of that first before you, and then start looking at your income. What can you do to cement that and build that? And until you can allow someone to come in your life. Don't see the thing is, I'm against, and I know this may be controversial, but I'm not. I'm very much against women being in desperate mode dating. Because when you're in desperate mode dating, you ain't got no money, you ain't got no money yourself, you tend to accept and overlook red flags. So I don't really recommend dating for you until you get your income together. Build that foundation. Build that foundation. Continue to go to therapy. Get deep and present in your body and feminine energy. And get all of that done first before you even consider allowing a man access to you. Because men, when you get the wrong man in, he drains you. And you want to be healthy to be able to recognize the right man. You can't recognize him if you're not healed, if you're in desperate mode, if you're in struggle mode, you can't recognize him. He could be standing right in front of you or right beside him, you won't see him. So do what you're doing great. Trust me, you're doing great. I actually grew up as an emotional mess because my dad was not in the picture and my mom was in another country working since I was around 12, which before then she was always away in school and working. I messed up my dating life when I turned 18 because no one taught me nothing. I had no sense of self-esteem or self-worth whatsoever. So this is very true. And I know it's true because I'm not doing this to hurt anybody's feelings. Okay, so don't get triggered. I'm not doing it to hurt your feelings. I'm not doing it because I'm not projecting or anything of that along those lines. I'm bringing it to the forefront because I recognize we need to do something different. We can no longer continue to go down this path of F those kids. We can no longer continue to promote capitalism, lifestyle, and love, and we're not giving our children the things they need in order to be successful. This is the reason why you all need to hold on to your seat, hold on to your pants, hold on to your edges, because in the next couple of years you're gonna watch the world burn. Because guess what? The kids that were raised under this capitalist society and in the matrix, they're about to be grown. They're about to be grown. And they're about to be out here with their lack of self-esteem, lack of self-control, not able to handle stress, behavioral problems, lack of accountability, lack of self-awareness. They're about to be out here running the world. So y'all wait and sit back and watch the world burn. The guy gets it. The second income usually gets eaten up by the cost of childcare. And see, that is another point that when I was doing my research, and I was like, why isn't childcare helpful? Because I was thinking along the lines that maybe you all are not vetting the childcare, but then that's not it. Childcare becomes an issue because childcare is super expensive. You're talking about a mortgage and a house and a car payment in order to pay for childcare, especially if you continue to go, let's say you want the best of the best, expensive. And that child care tends to eat up that second income. So you're correct. I didn't even get that point out. I was going there, but child care eats up the second income. So the second income, you don't even get to utilize that. So that second income that you have, that y'all, and that actually explains why with two incomes, the net worth is still negative in 2040 or 2050 for people of color. Because even when you do have two high earners, child care is going to eat up one of those incomes. Because the more expensive, I ain't gonna say expensive. How about this? The more well-rounded child care center is expensive. The ones that allow you to have your child learn Mandarin, or have your child have a tutor, or have your child have all these perks and benefits, they're charging you for each perk and benefit that you have. So one of the incomes do get eaten up. So actually, you're only living on one income anyway. And that income goes into that one income. Both of the incomes get eaten up over time because you are living like the Joneses, and you're in the matrix of capitalism. So thank you, Pedestal Wife, for that point, because that's true. That's true. Child care eats up that second income, and no one's talking about it. And no one's talking about how child care also leads to the child unable to handle stress, aggression, and behavioral problems. What's worse is that today I don't really see the fruits of her labor, because she's still away and she's always on survival mode, and we're not even upper middle class. What? Moment of silence. I mean, you just proved my point. Like, this young lady just proved my point. She did all that and she still doesn't have what she started out to try to attain. And not even upper middle class. But it makes sense, because two incomes are not getting wealth. It never has. That is a lie from the matrix. It keeps you working and giving taxes to the government. Being the daughter of a single mother, I can conquer to everything you're saying. What would you advise me to do with okay, I think I've already posted that one. Let's go over here to Instagram. I honestly thank God I found hypergamy on YouTube, because I honestly don't know where I would be without this kind of advice and community. My mother doesn't even know 3/4 of me, and that is another issue. Thank you for bringing me to my next point about the mothers being so disconnected from the daughters that the mother doesn't even know who the daughter is. And that's the reason why I can't get down with this modern thinking and modern lifestyle and love and getting trying to compete with the Joneses kind of ideology, is because the mothers do not even know the daughters. The mothers have raised full-grown women and really doesn't know the daughters that they raised. There's a disconnect there. As a feminine energy being, we should want to pour into our daughters and have our daughters and know our daughters. We should know them. We should know who they are as individuals. But that's what happens is when you are working, overworked, and tired. You can't possibly do everything well. You can't possibly do 50-50. Go to a full-time job, work 8 hours, then come home and work another 2 hours, which is what the average is when you're married. Well, not even married. You ain't got to be married to do this anymore, right? You come home and work 2 more hours. And you cannot possibly be able to pour into your children and get to know who they are as individuals, because you're already tired and burnt out from the job. And children know. They do. They absolutely know. That's the reason why they back away from you and leave you alone and let you have rest. But then when they back away from you and allow you to have rest, they're not telling you about what young woman did, or what young woman said, or what the girls were doing at school. They're not talking about the young girls that are having sex in the bathroom. They're not talking about the young girls that are having sex on the playground. They're not talking about what young little boys are trying to teach them and what they're trying to tell them to do. And that's what you miss out on. That's the perfect opportunity to tell them and teach them that, hey, that's not the correct way to do things. You shouldn't want to do this. What they're doing is something you shouldn't want to do. But you miss out on it. Because your kids are going to try to protect you. They're going to want you to get that 8 hours of sleep when you get home. They're going to realize you don't want to be bothered and you need rest. But you miss out also. And I'm not saying these things to hurt someone's feelings. I'm saying these things because it's true. We have to get back to a more traditional lifestyle, more traditional values in marriage. And I already know that she's highly likely never will. Today, my heart aches when I witness families where kids are left home on their own with relatives when parents go to work. Always keeping it real, gorgeous. You know it. We have to. Thank you so much for being here, Pedestal Wife. But I have to, because I grew up in the age of latchkey kids. And the latchkey kid generation, what are they? A lot of them are not being honest. The latchkey kid generation, they're not even great parents. Yep, I said it. I'm going to tell you the truth, because they didn't have parents. Their parents left them home. And then when they came home, there was no one there. And the cycle continues. If you don't set the standard of being a great parent, your children will not be great parents either, unless they're very conscious and they find the truth and they start working on themselves. You are the model. Kids model their parents. They don't listen to the conversations y'all have. Most of the time, they watch your actions and they play along. Kids learn from dress up. They learn from modeling. And that's something you learn when you go into education, but it's actually the truth of the matter. Kids learn what's modeled to them. So you can sit down and have conversations with your child all the time, talk about, oh, don't do what mommy did. But what research data and statistics show, if you're a smoker, your kid has a 50% chance of smoking. How does 50-50 affect the marriage? 50-50 affects the marriage because we all grown here, right? We all grown here, right? Women, do y'all see all the posts and the live streams where people are sitting here talking about, well, women get married to men and then they're not sexually attracted to them? Well, women fall out of sexual attraction when she's working hard and she's stretched to the brim. Her hormones aren't meant to be overworked in that manner. So she no longer becomes attracted to a person that she starts to view as someone that she is taking care of. And yes, maybe she is not necessarily doing 100% when she's taking care of him, but in some actuality, in the back of her head, her hormones recognize that she is taking care of him when she pays 50-50. So she no longer is attracted to him. So she starts backing away from him and not want to have sex with him. And then the marriage starts to break down because sex is essential for bonding within a marriage. Okay? So 50-50 is not conducive to a healthy marriage overall. Said a lot, but it had to be said. Because then you get to the point you don't see him as that protector. How can you see a man as a protector when essentially you're paying for yourself? You the protector, sis. You the protector, sis. So you don't look at him as though he's a protector, and you're not looking at him as hero worship. You're looking at him as he's your equal. So and then you also start to not respect him because he's your equal. You look at him as though he's another female. You don't have to respect someone that is, if you actually have to pay for yourself. And that's the mentality of a woman in the 50-50 relationship. The man doesn't even get respect. She starts backing away from respecting him. She starts emasculating him off gate. She stops sleeping with him. She starts looking at him as just a burden. Then she starts thinking about, baby, can I do this alone? Let me go ahead and start calculating the bills. And baby, let him lose his job. Then he's gonna learn where she at then. So many men have been burnt with a woman when they're in a 50-50 relationship and a woman leaves him. The reason she left you, bro, sir, is because of the fact she started looking at you as a burden. She started really evaluating, can she be on her own financially? Because then she started looking at the fact you're not really carrying your weight, so she doesn't need you. Then she can do it all by herself. And that's the harshness of what happens in 50-50. And no one is talking about it. Not only is the woman not looking at you as you're attractive or you're her hero, and that she can depend on you, she's just looking at you in the relationship as though you're like, eventually you're just downgraded to like a girlfriend. And you look, and honestly, guess what? I'm not attracted to my girlfriends. So, well, that's what happens. And no one's talking about it. No one talks about it. So they keep promoting 50-50. All they're going to do is continue to promote dead relationships. Because when a woman starts looking at and finances is a safety and security aspect. When she sees that he's not willing to pay into her safety and security, she starts to look at him as though he's a girlfriend. And you're no longer the hero. You're no longer the husband. You're no longer the masculine energy. You're the girlfriend. Then she starts to treat you like the girlfriend. And as though she starts treating you like her girlfriend, you start becoming less and less attractive. Then y'all start getting sexless. Then y'all start just being two friends in a relationship. Then if you lose your job, you lose her. I'm just going to tell you the truth of the matter. That's what happens. You lose her because you've already downgraded yourself to a friend or a girlfriend anyway. So you lose her once you lose your job because there's no more use of you. You're not even paying half anymore. My husband did 50-50. Now I'm fully provided for. It's different. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. I don't know why women would ever sign up for anything other. What's worse is when these families are poor and there's dysfunction, probably alcoholism. I already know that the kids will have a tough life and self-identity issues. They will, and they do. The numbers show it. If y'all tell me y'all can't see these self-identity issues going around with these children right now, these children think that they are trees, flowers, animals, anything but human beings. Thank you for saying this. I have to. Y'all know it makes me unpopular, but I have to say the truth. I'm not about lying. What would I lie up here? I don't have any reason to. And I thank God that I'm so blessed that my husband is able to support and provide for me, while I can get online and say the truth and the real, and I don't have to worry about if people are trying to follow me because they like me. Like, you can follow me and support me because I'm telling the truth. You don't have to follow me and support me because I'm entertaining. That'll quickly plant a water seed of resentment. It's one of the fastest spiritual seed to grow. Absolutely. 50-50 opens the door wide for children to be harmed and abused. Truth. Nothing but facts. But like I said, no one wants to say it because they don't want to upset the modern thinkers, the people who have modern values, the people who are stuck in the matrix, the people who have a capitalistic mindset, the people who marry for lifestyle and love. Say no to 50-50. It's a bad deal. The woman is a huge disadvantage when participating in 50-50 festivities. No matter how high the woman's income is, she is not the beneficiary. Absolutely. All right, but that's what I want to talk about. We have to actually start separating ourselves from the people who are modern thinkers, who have modern values. We have to start separating ourselves from people who view having two incomes as the be all end all. When I can tell you from the statistics, data, and research, having two incomes doesn't mean that they're going to be better off. It actually means that they're going to be more capitalistic driven and lifestyle driven and keeping up with the Jones driven. It doesn't mean that they're going to be able to live well or live well in their retirement ages. I can tell you now the data is out. The people who have one income, since they have one income, they tend to be more responsible with the income that they have. And this means they also tend to have more income producing assets. But I'm going to have to go. I do have to run a quick errand. I might come back later on this evening, y'all. So cut on your notifications. YouTube, please take the time to like the video because I noticed y'all were coming in, but y'all are not liking the video. I need you to like the videos. I need you to like the live stream. If you want more of this, you want me to continue to come back stronger than ever, you want to make sure that the video has a like on it so it can be seen and we can bring more women in and we can stop this movement of modern values and modern thinking and modern marriages that are happening right under our eyes. We need to save our children. If we don't do nothing else, let's save our kids. If we don't do nothing else, let's save the next generation behind us. They deserve to have an environment that's conducive to growth and generational wealth. Let's save our children. If you don't want to save yourself, you don't care about yourself, you don't care about your sisters, you don't care about the people, the women that's in your family, at least think about your children. Let's save them. Let's have better outcomes for them. So we're going to continue this conversation later on. I will be coming back, but I do have to run a quick errand. And so I will be coming back with a live stream. So if you are somewhere, you can cut your notification on so you can catch the next live stream because I am very passionate about what I do. And I'm passionate about bringing back traditional values. I'm passionate about us doing it and doing it well and getting great outcomes so that we can have that traditional marriage where we're back to where we have provider men. married to strong masculine energy men. Then we produce children that are not in the matrix with healthy mental health, great self-confidence and self-esteem. Children know who they are, and then we can start having children who think they're disabled because they want to align or be disabled and not be that. So let's save our children. If y'all don't want to save yourself, I'm okay with that because you're grown. You can do what you want. You're women, okay? But let's save the kids. Let's save the young babies. The ones that's willing to be saved, let's save them. And y'all just cut on your notification for the next live stream. Make sure you like the live stream, and I will see you on the next one.